Yeah, I mean, but I feel like you could literally Google anything in the world and like space Reddit reviews or something, or Reddit thread, and you'd find people complaining about anything at all, like even the most amazing thing. You'd probably find some grumpus Reddit thread, which would probably be what a lot of people lump us into, the grumpus community. Anyway, welcome back everybody to another episode of Tell Me Where I'm Going Wrong. This is a podcast that is, I'm not even going to say the intro, because every time I say it, I feel like such a fraud, just saying the same thing week in, week out. So what I will say is, wherever you're listening to or watching this episode, please subscribe. I'm not going to say it at the end, I'm going to say it at the top of the episode. Please hit subscribe. It does help us to find our way into a wider audience and other people's feeds. My name's Josh, and the other host is Sean. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing all right. Can people, I get very confused by the different platforms. So if somebody's listening on Apple Podcasts, what do they do there? Do they subscribe there? Can they like?
They follow. I think the terminology in Apple Podcasts, it's either just a plus button, I think, maybe by the name of the podcast, or a follow button.
And what about they can leave a review on?
Yeah, leave a review. It could just be one word, but give us 5 stars.
And if you're on YouTube, you can smash the like button as well as subscribe.
Yeah. But you didn't answer my question. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm, pretty stressed out by global events. I think I think you'd fall into 2 camps. You're either super stressed out by what's going on in the world, or you have sort of compartmentalized or disassociated and you don't think about it. Because I think once you start thinking about what's going on, it's really tough to remain calm.
I think there's the dissociative, is that the right word? Dissociative section could be broken down again into 2 subcategories in your description. And I think there are those that just dissociate and are fine with it. But I think I'm in the latter, which is like dissociation, but with like a very strong underlying level of anxiety about everything. So I try not to consciously think about all the shit that's going on in the world at the moment and the possible ramifications of it.
Yeah.
But my anxiety is definitely higher than it normally is. So I think there's like a baseline anxiety that just goes.
Well, you might say you're ruminating, Sue.
Wow, that's a very interesting choice of words, Sue.
Can you explain why to our listeners?
It does lead me on very nicely to talk about Lily Allen, because she has a song on her new album West End Girl called Ruminating, and I saw her on Friday night here in London at the Palladium. And you saw her on the same tour a few weeks ago in Sheffield. Was it the Sheffield Town Hall you saw her at? Or?
I think it's called the City Hall.
City Hall?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, yes, that's a very very convenient segue into talking about Lily Allen. So,
before we talk about the actual concert, I have to just give a shout out to my sister Michelle, because when I was visiting Australia a few months ago, and Michelle had been listening to the Lily Allen album. And I remember her walking around the house, and you know how Michelle sings songs in like a comical voice, like she'll do like an old-timey voice, and so she was walking around her place going ruminating, and like moving her shoulders up and down. Can you picture her
Michelle doing that? Yeah.
And it was so funny, and that's the only part of the song she knew, so she just kept singing ruminating.
But before we talk about the show, I suppose just a recap, if people aren't familiar with the West End Girl album, her latest album, and what it's about. Do you want to do a quick description or encapsulation of what it's all about?
Okay, yeah. Like Lily Allen was married to a person called David Harbour, who is an actor who we've discussed a lot on this podcast. He was one of the adult stars of Stranger Things. He's been in lots of other movies such as Hellboy, and he's in a new TV show at the moment where he's playing a gay character. Have you seen these videos? He's like making out with another guy. And he was married to Lily Allen, who is incredibly famous, especially in the UK, as a pop star. And they were married, and then their marriage disintegrated or changed, and Lily Allen turned the album, or the torment, the emotional torment of that relationship ending, into pop songs and turned it into an album. And the album tells the story in chronological order of the relationship, her finding out that it wasn't what she thought it was, right through to sort of her surviving and coming to terms with it. And so this tour that she's doing is just this album in its entirety, from song number 1 to the last song in order. And what did you think of the show?
I thought it was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. And everything about it, the warm-up act was just a three-piece. I was going to say a three-piece quartet, but that's a contradiction in terms.
Trio, I think they were
a string trio, and they were just playing instrumental versions of Lily's previous back catalogue songs, hits, with the words on screen and the audience just singing along, and it was just a really good way of warming up the audience. I mean, no, I thought it was really good.
I found that part of it a little cringe.
It
was a little bit like Hen's Party, Mamma Mia vibes.
Yeah, maybe. I thought it was really good though, because especially given that she hasn't toured in quite a while, right? Like it's been
a long time, yeah,
a long time, and so knowing that people weren't going to hear a lot of the hits in this concert tour because she was just doing the new album, it was good that people still got a live experience of those songs.
I
enjoyed it, but yeah, I thought the show was incredible, and it was very, very theatrical, very staged, totally different to any kind of tour she's done in the past. But I just think the album is so good. It's such a brilliant album, but I'm very keen to talk about there's a sort of level of discomfort I have with the show, or with the success of the album perhaps, and it's that if you're not familiar with the album, basically she discovers that basically correct me if I get this wrong, because you probably have read more about it than I have, but my understanding is that David asked Lily to open up the relationship, so to have an open relationship, because he needed to have more sex than he was having with her, and they would be working in different cities some of the time, and so he asked her to open the relationship, and she somewhat reluctantly agreed to that, but with conditions. And then she found out that he was breaking those conditions that they'd set in place, and discovering charges on credit cards and receipts, and finding a plastic bag full of like sex toys and stuff like that, condoms. And I don't know how much of it is sort of factual, or how much of it is sort of slightly whether she takes artistic license and embellishes it to some degree. I don't know how accurate it is. I don't know if David Harbour has commented publicly on any of the content in the album, or tried to offer a different narrative. I don't know. But the way that it's presented, it sounds like an incredibly traumatic experience to go through. And as much as I loved the concert, I did think at times that it must be so bittersweet for her to be singing these songs. And there's one song in particular where like there's a refrain that happens a few times where she says, "And who the fuck is Madeline?" I wasn't going to swear. I don't know why. I swear all the time on this podcast. She says, "Who the fuck is Madeline?" And it was such a good experience to be in a crowded theater and everyone scream, "Who the fuck is Madeline?" Because in one way you could see it as an empowerment in the situation.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I wonder how many of the people screaming "Who the fuck is Madeline" are thinking about the trauma that that human has had to go through in order to get to that point.
Well, I see it as people are thinking of the trauma because we've all been through maybe not something similar where our Hollywood star actor breaks the conditions of an open relationship that we felt
Mm.
coerced into. Maybe it's not exactly the same, but we all have human experiences where we have felt, I don't know, violated or upset or aggrieved. And I feel like it's like when you listen to Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette, like where
Mm.
she talks, it gives very, very specific um, recounts of relationships
Yeah,
and things that were
yeah.
done to her. You talk, you connect, and I think this is what people at the Lily concert were doing. People connect to the emotion behind
Mm.
it, not as much as the individual details of the story. And what was
Yeah.
incredible about it is Lily Allen was on stage alone with no band. I mean, it was a pre-recorded backing track of music and her singing live over the top of it. And so all the backing vocals, all the guest vocals, all the instrumentation was done by recorded tracks and her just singing over the top of it. And it was still incredibly emotional. Like there was,
Mm.
and maybe more so because she was there on her own. Like it seemed very vulnerable, didn't it? The
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah, very. And the stage was set up as their house, and then I think later on their apartment. I think they had a house in Brooklyn, was it?
Yeah.
Or and then
Yeah.
a flat in the village in New York, in Manhattan. And so it did feel so personal for her to be recounting this experience that she had through song in the setting of her
Yeah.
private space. I just thought it was so. I think you said it after you saw it in Sheffield, but it felt more like a musical, like a West End
Or
musical
or a
than
play. Like it was like a
yeah,
play.
yeah.
Apart
It's
from being
much
all
more.
songs.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like a theater production.
it was incredibly theatrical, and it had a narrative as well, which a
Yeah.
concert doesn't. A pop concert normally wouldn't have a narrative like that. So it was incredibly powerful. But
Yes.
yeah, I still think about the I would just be curious to know. I don't really read interviews with pop stars or celebrities, but I would be curious to know if Lily has spoken about that, whether there's an inner conflict she has with this sort of trivialization in some way of an incredibly hurtful experience that she went through.
Well,
But
I think she's done quite well. What this is what's spoken to me about Lily's music throughout her career is it
mm,
is often just very frank. It's
yeah,
you know, some of it might be fabricated, some of it might be like pure storytelling, some of it might be hybrid, like
mm,
taking a few real life scenarios and putting them into a song. But her music has always felt very honest to me.
yeah,
And that's what's appealing to me. And when she was on stage, I, I thought, yeah, I'm feeling the true emotion of this performance. I don't
mm,
know how much of it's true or not. And that's also what's great about it is her self-determination in deciding that this is what her art's going to be, this is how she's going to present it,
mm.
it was very inspiring and entertaining.
And do you think if if Lily ever said or has said, maybe I don't know, that she has a level of discomfort about maybe the trivialization of her experience and the breakdown of her relationship and everything like that, do you think someone in her position has a right to complain about that? Or do you feel that, because I know some people would just say, well, if she made an album about it and put it out into the world, then it's not, she's given up the right to have any sort of like thoughts around that.
Well, I
What
think
do you,
her as a human has the right to do whatever she wants and say whatever she wants about anything in her life. Now, whether people are going to respect that and be considerate of her feelings is another thing. I mean, you
mm,
look at what just happened again with Chappell Roan, with how people frame her as being ungrateful or mean or rude.
mhm,
I mean, you want to talk about self determination. Like Chappell Roan is clearly saying to people, I do not want to be in this situation. whether it's
Mm,
being approached when she's not working or having people take photos of her or talking to her, whatever it
mm,
is. And people are saying how rude and selfish and inconsiderate of her to be like that.
mm,
And I just think that no matter what somebody wants to do, whether that's Lily Allen wants to sing a song about her husband that she felt aggrieved her, and then one day she doesn't want to talk about it in the press, whether it's Chappell has millions of fans around the world, but she doesn't want to approach them when she's not working. Like,
mm.
these women should be allowed and respected to say whatever they want about their own well-being and the way that they navigate the world.
But do you struggle to sometimes feel sympathetic towards somebody asking for privacy when they make money by inviting attention? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that's necessarily my opinion, but to play devil's advocate, you think, well, if Chappell Roan doesn't want all of this attention, why does she continue to tour and go on
It's a
stage
very
and perform in front of millions of people? Is it unrealistic? Whether it's fair, whether it's just, whether it's um, whatever, is it just completely unrealistic to expect that you can have that level of autonomy and privacy in a position when you do a job like that?
well, first of all, I appreciate your Emily Mayhurst style devil's advocate. Is that her name? Emily
Emily
Mayhurst?
Mateless, you mean?
Mateless.
Mateless, yeah.
Who's
Who's
Mayhurst?
Mayhurst? I have no idea.
I don't know.
Hi,
Who the
Emily
fuck is
Mayhurst, wherever
Mayhurst?
you are.
Who the fuck is Mayhurst?
Don't
Um,
trivialize my trauma.
but yeah, like that devil's advocate thing. I I think that I will never not have sympathy for someone like Chappell Rowan. Like, I have nothing but sympathy, empathy, whatever you want to call it. She is an artist. She has stepped into the world of being famous. There's nothing she can do about that now except try and determine for herself what her reality is like.
Hmm.
And if she is in a hotel and somebody wants to come and try and speak to her or walk close to her or be weird around her while she's having breakfast, she has every right to say, "Hey, can you tell that person not to come near me?"
But
Like, I,
isn't it
as
a bit unrealistic though to expect to be able to continue living something approaching a normal life in the world and go out and have breakfast in public? Or I think there was something happened with her last year when she was going to was it a Pilates class or something, and she said that she felt like her boundaries were encroached upon by fans in that situation. Is it just is it just completely unrealistic though to think that you can do those things? Like who was it that you were telling me about? Was it Matthew Perry? One of the Friends cast, I can't remember. You were telling me the story once about one of the Friends cast being interviewed by somebody in their home. And the interviewer said, "Oh, why don't we just go to the shop and get something to drink? Like, I don't know, get a fucking, I don't know, whatever, a can of Coke or a Pepsi or something." And the person, I think it was Matthew Perry, said to them, "Are you joking? Like, I can't go out in public."
yeah,
And so I am a huge fan of Chappell Rowan. I love what she does. And I hope that she continues to do what she's doing if that's what she wants to do. But I worry that it's an unrealistic expectation to be able to live a normal life and not have that scrutiny on you when you're in public and still try and be a pop star.
yeah.
I don't know if it can be done. And I don't know if
Well,
maybe she doesn't
I
have
think
people around her saying that to her.
I think it might sound unrealistic, but that shouldn't stop her from voicing what she wants. Like,
Mm.
you look at somebody like Madonna, who's been famous for, what, 45 years or something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
She would control every part of who can be near her at all times.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
how many times have you seen a fan photo with Madonna where
yeah.
they're trying to
It
put their arm? Never.
it just doesn't exist.
It does exist. And I
Hmm.
think Chappell is kind of stuck in between two realities. One is sort of like being this up and coming artist who has hit, she's had a lot of fame very quickly, and then Madonna, Gaga, Beyonce level of fame where you
Mhm.
can control your reality because you're so
Mm.
rich. You're so
Yeah.
rich and you've got all of these resources. I don't think that Chappell's there yet, and I think she wants to control every aspect of her life, but she's not in the position yet where she can afford to do that, has the assets to do that, has the infrastructure around her to do that. But
Yeah.
and that's, people said for years that Madonna was awful and they used the B word to describe her. And most of that, I'm sure she sometimes wasn't nice, but most of that was her just telling people what she wanted and not
And
taking no for an answer.
having her boundaries. And of course, the other thing is, I suppose, and this just makes me sound like an old fart, but Chappell is young. Um, when you're young, you do have maybe more of an idealistic view of how things should be. And I suppose with age and with experience, you learn that, oh, hey, this is the reality. This is the way the world works.
Yeah.
If I want to do these things, I'm going to have to make these changes to my lifestyle. And yes, okay, on one hand, I do admire um, her trying to have autonomy and own her own experience, but it seems to me like going to, I was trying to think of a really good analogy on the fly, but it's like going to a car wash and asking them to fix your tires or something. It's like it's that's a very shit analogy. Sorry.
It's a
but
it's a car wash, ladies and gentlemen.
but yeah, I don't know. I worry that
Well,
maybe she needs people around her to be like, well, hey, maybe you don't want to tour. Maybe you don't want to pursue the pop star thing if you want to live a normal life. I just don't see it where it can go, really. I just don't know.
yeah, but why should she have to settle for, like, this might be her way of dealing with it. Her speaking out and saying, "Hey, get away from me," or "Hey, paparazzi, fuck off," or "Hey, whatever happened in the hotel, some little girl tried to come near her while she was having breakfast." Like, this is her dealing with it. This is her. Like, where we talked about Madonna the other day where, what's his name? Tom Kelly? Oh, no, Billy Steinberg? Who
Oh,
was it
yeah.
that died? Billy Steinberg
Billy
said to
Steinberg.
her, "I've always wanted to meet you," because he co-wrote Like a Virgin, and he said,
Uh-huh.
"I've always wanted to meet you," and she just said, "Well, now you have." Turned her
Mm,
back on him and walked away. Now, yeah, that seemed to a lot of people that might seem in that telling unreasonable, but Madonna has every right to talk to whoever she wants to, and who she doesn't want to talk to, she can walk away from.
yeah.
Now we can all have our feelings about that. It's a free world. But
Mm,
these women, especially, but all these conversations we have are about women. And I think there's like a real undercurrent of misogyny as well around, oh, why aren't these women more compliant with their fans or with the press, or
mm,
this isn't the way the world works. And it's like they can do whatever they want. And when these women get hounded and hounded and hounded, they end up like Britney Spears, or they end up like Sinead O'Connor. And
mm,
it's like if people just listen to women say, "Hey, I don't want this. This makes me feel unsafe, makes me feel threatened, makes me feel
mm,
uncomfortable, I'm bored with it," whatever the emotion is, all it would take is people to go, "Okay, yeah, let's respect that." And if
mm,
people can't have Chappell Rowan, the superstar, without having full access to her whenever they want, then okay, well, maybe they need to walk away and not buy her records. Like, it should be completely reasonable for a young woman or any woman to say, "I don't want these people to be near me right now in this circumstance." I think that's
mm,
completely fine. Yeah.
mm. Yeah. Well, all right. And yeah, I suppose just for the record as well, I'm not, well, I hope I'm not coming across as a victim blamer. Because my point is, I suppose, that I just worry about the world and the way it is, and the forces that control it, and the forces that cause these
Yeah.
things to happen, and it being completely at odds with somebody's expectations um, about boundaries. So um,
Yeah.
anyway, that was just my thought, and I thought it was interesting actually, yeah, because with the Lily Allen thing, I had similar feelings. around that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, what do you think with the Lily Allen concert? Do you think she's coming back and doing arena shows? Because we saw her in small theaters
mm.
on this tour. She's coming back. I think it's going to be the same show. How do you think that's going to translate to like 20,000 people instead of
Yeah,
7,000 or
I don't
5,000?
see how it could work well in a large venue, unless I don't know, unless the show changes somehow. I
Mm.
think it has to be a sort of small theatre style venue for it to work. Um,
Yeah.
but we'll see. I don't know if I'll go and see her in the arena show. I like to see artists in small venues these days. I don't really enjoy big concerts anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but I know that Robin is playing at the Hackney Empire next month.
Oh, really?
But but I couldn't go because I've got something on that night. But yeah, that would
The
have been an
Hackney
amazing
Empire
show.
is more Hackney Empire is more famous for comedy shows, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think
Like they have a lot of panto and
yeah, I think they do a lot of stuff. I saw, I don't know how old I was, but I saw Alice Walker do a talk there once. I mean,
oh,
it would have
really?
been like the 90s, maybe. Yeah, it would have been the 90s. Like I think they have
Wow.
a, a, a lot of different things on there. Um,
Yeah.
but Robin would
Um,
be amazing to see there.
yeah, I've heard a bit of her new stuff and it hasn't grabbed me as much as I like a lot of her older stuff, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, that's cool," but I haven't put it on again. So, but I
Mm.
would like to see her. I did once have ticket to see her in Brixton, a long, long time ago, and I had the worst flu ever. Was on my deathbed, and I had to
Oh,
sell my ticket, but I
yeah.
was had to go and physically hand the ticket over to someone, and I was so unwell. I shouldn't have been out in public, and,
Mm.
I had to sell the ticket, but at least somebody
Uh,
got to go, and it was a sold-out show. Um, I was just reading some news that was shocking to me. It might not be interesting to you, but, you know, when I started playing Pokemon Go in lockdown, do you remember?
I don't ever remember you playing it.
You know what
Wait,
Pokemon
where were
Go is,
you?
right?
Were you in Mexico?
Mexico.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe vaguely.
So when we started to go into a lockdown in COVID, Pokemon Go exploded in popularity, and it's where you had to like walk around, and it was used GPS tracking to know where you were, and you'd like collect Pokemon. And I started doing it in Mexico as an excuse to get out of the house because you couldn't go anywhere. Like no, bars were open. No, the cinemas were closed. There was nothing to do except go for a walk. That's what you were allowed to do. And so
Mm.
a lot of people started using Pokemon Go. Did you know that there were 500 million users who downloaded Pokemon Go in its first 60 days?
Wow.
Like, so 500 million people. And I was reading this news article the other day about how Pokemon Go was sold by the company that first owned it, Niantic. They sold it for $250 million, but they retained all of the data that they collected from people using the game. So how it worked was when you walked around with the app open, it would give you tasks to do, such as, oh, take a photo of this statue that you're near, or take a video of the area around you, and you got like rewards within the game. So it was mostly free to use, but you had to do things, and it used, to progress through the game. So they had hundreds of millions of users all over the world collecting data, like geotagged video and photo data, and they've collected it, and they started another business, and they now selling that data to other AI companies. Like there's a company called Coco Robotics, I think it's called, and they are in charge of those little delivery robots that deliver people's food and packages to them in inner cities. Have you seen them?
No.
Have
Do
you
they
when
exist?
was the last time you were in the when was the last time you were in the US?
Uh, was it? That's over a year ago now, I think. I
Okay,
think it
so they
was, yeah,
have
like a
these.
year and a half ago.
Okay, well, you will see next time you're there, you'll see these little robots that are like little go-karts with flags on them, and they go all around like Los Angeles, Chicago, everywhere, and they deliver people's food, like Uber Eats. They deliver like
What?
packages,
It's like you're
right?
talking to me about like some other planet. What? Do they go on the road? Are they on the pavement?
They
Like,
go on sidewalks, and because this is the weird bit, right? Because all of us, me included, played Pokemon Go, and we scanned and took photos of. It was something like 30 million real-time photos, right,
yeah.
are being used to map inner cities so they can sell that data to these robot companies so they can deliver food by AI.
I'm just sorry.
And
I'm
they
just
got,
googling delivery robots because I'm just like,
yeah,
this is just. I can't believe this
I can't
exists.
believe you haven't seen this. And there's photos of people like walking up and kicking, videos of people kicking them and pushing them over. And the wild part of it is that, when you're using your phone signal and relying on GPS,
Yeah.
often in inner cities, it doesn't work. Like when we were in Brighton and we couldn't get any phone signal, or
Mm.
you're in parts of London, all of this data that all of these Pokemon Go users have collected they've built a system that doesn't rely on real-time connection. They've mapped whole areas of cities around the world, because you think if a million or say 100,000 people took a photo of a crosswalk at like Sunset and Vine, right? Say 100,000 people, they've got that bit of geography photos taken from different heights, different days
Mm.
of the night,
Mm.
day, weather, everything. So they've been able to map it exactly down to the millimeter. And so these robots use that data that was collected through Pokemon Go to deliver food. I find it so terrifying that.
But don't you feel sometimes that it's like the Wild West? Like there is no the structures of regulation that exist
Yeah,
for the internet. It sounds so old-fashioned to say it like that, doesn't it? But for data, for AI, for uh, privacy, data collection, data mining, all of that, the regulation is completely outpaced by the changes and the advances in the technology that it's supposed to regulate. And you do worry where it's heading. And
yeah.
I mean, as if there isn't enough shit going on in the world to like give us an existential crisis. The
Mhm.
the just massive proliferation of stuff like that um, makes me think, well, why is the world not coming together? I mean, it's very idealistic, but why are governments
Well,
on a national and global level not getting together and saying, hey, someone, somewhere, some organization needs to have an oversight of where technology is heading and make sure that it's done in a safe and non-intrusive way and put
I don't think
regulations in place. And so without that, we are doomed, I think. And
Well, I think we're past the point of no return. That
yeah,
now there is, like, last year and this year, people have started trialing AI servers in outer space, in space, right? So one of the biggest obstacles for AI, what do you call it? Like a server, but centers, right? AI centers
data center.
is
Yeah.
data center, is access to power and heating. And so by putting them in space, scientists or, I don't know, engineers believe that they have access to non-stop solar energy. They can position them in space to get sunshine all the time.
Yeah.
Also, the vacuum of space helps them regulate thermal issues of things overheating.
Mm.
And I find that terrifying, that that's where our money that could be being used to look after people and advance civilization and keep us from the jaws of destruction is being sent. I mean, this will be billions and billions and hundreds of billions of dollars to build these AI centers in space. And who's going to benefit from that? Not you, not me, not Chappell Roan. Like, it's going to be like a handful of people who make money from that, right? And then another thing that
Emily
freaked me out,
Mayhurst.
Emily Mayhurst. Who the fuck is Emily Mayhurst? But another thing that I started panicking about, because as World War III sort of like encroaches upon us with every given
Mhm,
day, I
mhm.
keep thinking, catastrophizing other things. How much absolute junk is in space, right? That humans have put up there. How often do you think it crashes to Earth? And I know that the globe is a huge place and most of it crashes in the ocean. But I was reading a story from 2024 where a piece of the International Space Station went through somebody's ceiling. I think it was in Arizona or
Mhm.
Florida. I can't remember where, but it punctured through someone's house. And obviously things burn up and they often reach the Earth's surface or atmosphere very small.
Yeah.
But if we start putting these like things more and more and more, the chances of something crashing on you while you're
Space
walking
junk.
around. I know.
I
Does that not scare you?
again, it's one of those things I just try not to think about, and it's one of the things I think about a lot when I'm flying, when I'm on like a long haul flight. I think, oh, I wonder what the chances of space junk uh, crashing to Earth would be of hitting this plane midair. Sorry, I know that's probably such a unnerving thing to put out into the world, but I'm going to go off on a quick tangent, so just bear with me. But
Yeah,
and I've not fact checked this, um,
yeah.
but I was on a Reddit thread recently, which is where I get a lot of my information. And someone was saying, and they sounded like they knew what they were talking about. Somebody was saying that because somebody had said, that's right. I typed into Google, why why does the world spinning, why does the earth spinning keep us on instead of pushing us away? Because you think of a spinning object would send matter away from it. If you
This is
have a,
hilarious.
right. So anyway, but get this, right? So somebody said, oh, because the spinning creates the gravity, which keeps you on. And then several other people said, no, planets that don't turn also have gravity. The gravitational pull of Earth is caused by its mass, not by the fact that it spins.
Mass,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, even if
yes.
it wasn't spinning, it would still have gravity. And my mind was just blown by that. I was like, what? Like, I always thought, and I can't be the only one that thinks this, I always thought it was the rotation of the Earth that created the gravitational pull. And I, no, like, if you see science fiction things, they always have these rotating spaceships to create the gravitational effects of whatever. Anyway, anyway, that's tangent over.
I love that. How just throw that completely wild understanding of gravity into the mix in the conversation.
Well,
Um,
I know we're
with
no science podcast, but
what with AI, I also read that this is just a funny aside that you know how much like energy and water it takes to run like things like chat gpt and like it's a
mm,
real environmental crisis,
yes,
that the amount of people that add extra unnecessary words into their searches in chat gpt is one of the main reasons about it, how much extra energy it uses. It's a real problem. So people being polite to AI models. So by adding extra words like, could you please help me? Or would you mind? Or at the end, when it does what you ask it to do, saying, thank you, I appreciate that, it then has to use more energy to answer that. But then I read that there was a study done that people who were polite to ChatGPT got better quality answers. And I'm like, how does that work?
the whole thing. Can you imagine a world? And I mean, I don't mean like just can you imagine it, um, sort of theoretically, but do you think it's possible that there is a future for the current iteration of humanity without the internet, without that connectivity?
Well,
Like,
we
is it
might have
like
to, we might, I was going to say we might have to go there. We might soon, if there's like a global crisis, which what we're all like freaking out about with the US and Iran and Israel, we might lose a lot of these things that are commonplace to us.
Hmm. I
I
I
mean,
just wonder whether we've gone
what
too
would you
far
do without?
down a certain path. I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, I was listening to what's his name? Sam Harris, is that his name? Do you know Sam Harris?
No.
That he's
Who the
like
fuck is Sam
he's
Harris?
all in. I know, right? He's all into like meditation and stuff like that. But he was talking about how when he deleted his Twitter account or X, that his life exponentially changed for the better. And he started deleting all of the social media. Now, a lot of us feel like we couldn't possibly live without social media, whether it be your job or if you're a researcher or a journalist or
Hmm.
you connect with friends. But he said that he was very scared to do it, but it just changed his life for the better. And so I think if we started having to take things out like AI or the internet, I think it would be a shock, but we'd adapt, obviously. I mean, if you look at how long we've had technology like the internet or AI in our lives compared to the history of humanity as a species, it's like a tiny dot. It's not even a flicker. So
Hmm.
if it left us in 100 years, people would be like, oh, it'd be like how people used to write on stones or carve on stones. Like
Hmm.
we would, how we think, oh, I can't imagine that. So it might come and go, but I fear that we might come and go with it. I don't know
Yeah.
if something
Yeah.
catastrophic happened to stop us having the internet, we might not exist anymore.
Well, that's a
But
very cheerful
anyway,
note to wrap up on. Um,
well, but just before we do go, one thing I want to say to you is this AI thing where
I've
we
got
all
one thing
go,
to say to you, Kimmy.
yeah, you better work. We we go around scanning things. Our faces are scanned, our fingerprints are scanned, and I know it sounds um, like conspiracy theory to think, oh, we're being tracked. And I saw this post, like I'm in this animal rights group thing online, and this guy went to the Sphere, that big venue in Las Vegas that looks like a globe.
Yeah.
And, like No Doubt are doing their reunion shows there. He went there to see The Wizard of Oz. Like they show movies in there on this big globe
Mm.
screen. And as he was entering the Sphere, this man walked up to him, a security guard walked up to him and said hello to him by his first name. And he said, "Oh, hello. Do I know you?" And he goes, "Oh no, I'm with the team, the venue security, and our facial recognition software recognized you here, and we just wanted to come and say hello to you to let you know that we know that you were at an animal rights protest at Madison Square Garden, so in another city, in another
Mm.
venue." And they had their AI model picked him up out of however many thousands of people, and they
Mm.
just went up and said, "We just want to let you know that we're aware that you're here, and we want you to have a good night, but we're just letting you know that we know you were at this event." Like, is that terrifying to you?
That's really freaky. Like really freaky.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. I really do worry about just the sort of unchecked nature of this invasion. I mean, talk about
Yeah.
Chappell and Lily and their invasion of privacy, but I mean, we're all undergoing that. Um, Even us publishing this podcast, it will
Oh, yeah.
it will make our identity, our online fingerprint, much more widely available than without it existing. So it's terrifying. It's really terrifying living in this current age. If future humans are looking back on an archive and happen upon this, then yeah, it's freaky, and we hope that everything has been resolved, but I doubt it will have.
And if
All
you
right.
are listening to this in 100 years, I highly recommend you go and listen to West End Girl by Lily Allen. It's a
I'll
great
check
album.
that out. And let's wrap up and say you should also check out Josh and the Jumpstarts as well on all streaming platforms. Do drop us a comment, even a negative comment like our comment last week, which was critiquing the pronunciation of certain words in the English language. But we can leave a rebuttal for a future episode maybe. Any last thoughts, Sean?
Okay.
I've got my Beer Fest glass here in case you want to mention that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, go to veganbeerfest.co.uk and leave your email address so I can track you with technology and do direct marketing to you about my upcoming events. And I've got some supper clubs I'm hosting at Unity Diner and Photo Book Cafe. All that information is on facavegan.com.
All right. Well, folks, stay safe and avoid the internet as much as is humanly possible while listening or watching a podcast. We'll be back in your feeds this time next week. Please do leave us a comment and we'll see you soon.
Bye.